The wind howled across the dead planet, carrying with it the taste of iron and ash. Jace Rowan walked alone through the endless desert of broken metal. Once this world had been a proud trading colony. Now it was nothing but wrecked ships and forgotten dreams. He was a mechanic, a scavenger, and maybe the last human left on this side of the quadrant. Every morning he searched for scrap parts, hoping to fix something valuable enough to trade for food or oxygen. But today felt different. The sky burned red with the coming storm. And deep in the distance, a strange blue light shimmered through the dust. He stopped, shielding his eyes. "That's no normal crash," he whispered to himself. The light pulsed like a heartbeat, alive, unnatural, calling to him. Jace checked the charge on his pulse tool and walked toward the glow, every step sinking into the dry sand. As he reached the ridge, he froze. Below him lay a ship, silver and smooth, half buried in sand unlike any human craft he had ever seen. Its surface rippled with faint energy, glowing veins that hummed softly even in the silence. He slid down the dune, boots crunching. The ship was warm to the touch. As if it were breathing, a small hatch hissed open. Releasing a puff of cold blue mist inside, the air smelled like ozone and flowers. "Hello," he called, but no one answered. Then he saw her. A woman lay near the command chair, armor cracked, silver blood leaking slowly down her arm. Her skin glowed faintly, and her eyes, when they opened, were bright like twin suns. "Human," she whispered weakly. "Do not touch the core." Her voice was calm, but every word carried power. Jace knelt beside her. "You're hurt," he said. "I can help." She stared at him with something between suspicion and exhaustion. "Help me repair this vessel and I will reward you," she said. "But the crystal must not be disturbed." Jace nodded, though he had no idea what crystal she meant. The ship was filled with strange symbols and flowing cables. He pulled out his portable scanner, muttering, "All right, let's see what makes you tick for hours." He worked silently, rerouting circuits and patching broken panels. The woman watched him, her gaze sharp even through her pain. "Name's Jace," he said finally, wiping sweat from his brow. "You got a name, princess?" She hesitated, then replied, "I am Elira, Empress of the Vion Dominion," he laughed softly. "An Empress, huh? Fancy title for a crash victim." Her expression hardened. "Careful, human, your tongue is bold." He shrugged. "Bold keeps me alive." She studied him for a long moment, then said, "If you restore power, I will ensure your survival." Jace worked faster. Intrigued and cautious, the more he touched the ship, the more it seemed to respond to him. Lights flickered, engines hummed, and the ground trembled slightly. Then he noticed a crystal sphere glowing at the center of the console. It pulsed with soft white light, whispering in a voice he couldn't quite hear. He remembered her warning, but curiosity was stronger. "Maybe just a quick look," he muttered, reaching out. The moment his fingers brushed the crystal, the ship screamed. A surge of energy shot through his arm. Flooding his body with burning light, Elira shouted, "No, stop!" But it was too late. The crystal burst open, light filling the entire cabin. Jace fell to his knees, vision spinning. He saw flashes, stars collapsing, worlds burning, voices chanting his name, then silence. When his eyes opened again, the ship's lights had turned golden. Elira knelt before him, trembling. "What have you done?" she whispered. "You touched the royal core. You have bonded yourself to me." He blinked. "Bonded? What does that even mean?" "The core links life and command," she said. "It has chosen you." Jace looked down, a faint mark glowing on his palm, the same symbol that shimmered on her armor. "I didn't mean to," he said. "I was just trying to fix it." She tried to stand but stumbled, grabbing his arm, and in that moment he felt her heartbeat inside his own chest. Their breathing synchronized, the ship hummed louder. Responding to their shared pulse, the walls began to shift, metal melting into a new shape, and outside the sand lifted like a wave. Jace shouted, "What's happening?" "The bond is awakening," Elira cried. "You are now part of the vessel, and part of me." The ship's engines roared to life, blue fire tearing through the desert. The ground exploded behind them as they lifted into the storming sky. Jace clung to the controls, but his hands moved on their own. Guided by something greater, the Empress's voice echoed inside his mind. "You have sealed your fate, human," he answered without words. "Then we're in this together." The ship pierced the clouds, lightning flashing around it below. The desert turned into a sea of light, and above, the stars waited like silent witnesses. Elira looked at him with both anger and awe. You are no longer just a mechanic, she said. You are my co-pilot of fate. He swallowed, heart racing. Then let's not crash again. And as the storm swallowed the planet below, the human and the alien Empress flew together into the unknown. Neither of them knew what waited ahead. War, destiny, or something even greater. But one thing was clear. Their lives were now bound by the same spark, the same heartbeat, and the same ship that had chosen them both. Jace woke to the soft hum of engines floating somewhere between dream and waking. He felt warmth spreading through his chest, pulsing in rhythm with another heartbeat when he opened his eyes. The silver walls of the alien ship shimmered with golden lines of energy, breathing in and out like a living creature. Across from him, Elira sat with her eyes closed, her body wrapped in faint light. Where are we? He asked, voice dry. Elira opened her eyes slowly. We are in orbit above the desert world you call home, she said. The core has awakened, and so has the bond. Jace blinked, confused. The bond? You mean that light thing that tried to fry me? She looked at him sharply. That light thing is sacred. It links our souls and life force. If you die, I die, and if I perish, so will you. He rubbed his neck, still feeling the burn of the mark glowing faintly beneath his skin. So you're saying we're stuck together? Elira nodded slowly, her voice soft but heavy. The ship chose you as my co-pilot. It obeys you now as much as me. Jace looked around the glowing cabin. That's great, Your Majesty, but I didn't sign up for eternal teamwork. A faint smile touched her lips, the first he had seen. The universe doesn't care for your consent. Human. Suddenly the ship's voice echoed through the air, a calm metallic tone. Warning. Royal signal detected. Hostile fleet approaching. Elira's expression darkened. They found us already. She stood, summoning a golden control interface from thin air, the symbols shifting in the air like liquid fire. Who found us? Jace asked, heart thudding. The Vion High Command, she said bitterly. My own council, they want the crystal, and they will kill us both to get it. Without thinking, Jace moved to the pilot seat. Then we'd better move. Elira hesitated. You cannot control a Vion warship. He grinned. Watch me, and placed his hands on the glowing handles. Instantly the ship reacted, thrusters humming with power, lights flickering brighter. Elira's eyes widened. Impossible, even my own generals cannot command the core so easily. Jace shrugged. Guess your ship likes me. Outside, streaks of light appeared in the darkness, enemy fighters, sleek and sharp like blades of silver. The ship trembled as the first blast hit the shields. Elira cried, Evasive pattern Delta 9! I don't know what that means, Jace shouted. But I'll try something else. He tilted the controls sharply, and the ship spun through space with inhuman agility, sliding between plasma bursts and debris. Elira grabbed the rail, trying not to fall. How are you doing this? I used to race hovercrafts on Mars, he yelled back. Same idea, less explosions. The ship dove under enemy fire, then looped upward, locking onto a pursuer. Jace felt the bond surge through him. The ship's cannons fired on their own. Guided by instinct, one by one, the attackers exploded into fire. Elira stared at him with something new in her eyes. Respect, maybe even fear. You fight like a warrior god, she whispered. Jace wiped sweat from his forehead. Nah, just good reflexes. But even as they fought, the ship kept whispering to them both. Voices of memory. Elira could feel his human emotions. Doubt, courage, pain, all bleeding into her mind. And Jace began to sense hers. Loneliness, duty, and the crushing weight of being an empress hunted by her own people. For a moment their thoughts merged and the silence between them grew soft. When the last fighter exploded, Elira leaned back, exhausted. The fleet will send more, she said quietly. They will not stop until I am dead. Then we stay ahead, Jace replied. We find somewhere safe, fix your wounds, plan our next move. She turned toward him, her eyes glowing faintly. You speak as though you belong here. He smiled. Maybe I do now. The ship drifted into the shadow of a moon, hiding from scanners. Inside, the air glowed calm and blue. Elira placed her hand over her chest, feeling the faint pulse that matched his. This bond was never meant for outsiders, she said. Our kind believed only royal blood could endure it, yet here you are, still breathing. Humans are good at surviving impossible things, Jace said softly. It's what we do. She looked at him for a long time, then nodded slowly. Perhaps that is why the core chose you, Jace laughed quietly. Or maybe it just likes trouble. The ship's voice interrupted again. Energy reserves low, entering silent mode. The lights dimmed, wrapping them in faint silver glow. As the stars outside drifted slowly past, Jace leaned against the wall, tired but alert. He glanced at her. You really trust me now? Elira's voice was distant, almost fragile. Trust is a word I have forgotten, but maybe I can learn it again. The silence between them stretched. Not cold, but filled with something uncertain. The ship rocked gently in orbit. Two beings bound by chance, fate, and a glowing crystal neither of them understood. Jace closed his eyes, whispering, Guess I'm stuck with you. Her voice echoed softly in his mind. No, human. We are bound beyond choice. Outside in the void of stars, a faint red signal pulsed in the dark. Unseen by either of them, a massive Vion battleship tracked their energy trail, its captain smiling coldly. The Empress has bonded with a human, he said. Prepare the hunter fleet. And as the shadow of war grew closer, the ship of the bound pair drifted silently through the stars, unaware that their real battle was only beginning. The silence of space did not last long. Jace woke to the sound of alarms. The soft hum of the ship replaced by a deep roar. Elira stood near the console, her expression sharp and unreadable. They found us, she said, her voice calm but cold. The trader fleet followed our trail. Jace blinked the sleep from his eyes. Already? We just got here, Elira nodded. The core's bond created a pulse of energy, like a flare in the dark. They would have sensed it. He jumped into the pilot's seat. All right then, time for round 2. The ship's sensors flashed with red symbols and multiple targets. Approaching fast, Elira closed her eyes, focusing. There are too many, even with the bond. We cannot fight them all. Jace cracked a grin. We don't need to fight them all, just the ones stupid enough to chase. He powered up the engines, and the ship surged forward, streaking across the gas giant below. Thunder rolled across the thick clouds beneath them, lightning flashing through the storm layers. The first enemy squadron closed in, their silver hulls cutting through the atmosphere like knives. Elira's hands moved over glowing symbols, forming shields around them. Energy flared, blue and gold, wrapping the ship like a living barrier. Jace shouted, "Hang on!" As they plunged into the clouds, the whole ship shaking from turbulence. Bolts of plasma fire sliced through the storm. Missing by inches, Jace's instincts took over. His hands moved faster than thought. The ship spun sideways, diving through lightning arcs. Elira watched him, amazed. No Vion pilot could fly like this, he smirked. That's because I'm not one of your kind. The ship twisted again, sliding between enemy fire, returning shots from hidden turrets. Explosions painted the clouds in fiery colors, thunder echoing through the upper sky. Jace's eyes glowed faintly gold, the bond between him and the Empress pulsing stronger than before. The ship responded to both their thoughts now, moving as if alive. Through the chaos, Elira spoke softly. You learn fast. Human, he grinned. I fix ships, I don't crash them. A laugh escaped her, light and strange as if she hadn't laughed in centuries. But their moment ended when a massive cruiser appeared above the clouds, its shadow stretching across the sky. The voice of the enemy general crackled through the comms. Elira of Vion, surrender the human and the core. Or burn with him, Elira's eyes hardened. That voice, it's him. Who? Jace asked, tightening his grip on the controls. My former general, she said, the one who betrayed the throne. The ship trembled as the cruiser opened fire. Jace shouted, We need to move now. Elira reached out, placing her hand over his, and for a moment, the ship flared with golden light. Their bond pulsed. 2 minds, 1 will. The ship accelerated beyond its limits, dodging energy blasts that split the air like burning suns. Heading for the lower atmosphere, Jace said. Elira nodded. The gravity storms will hide us, but they might also destroy us, he smiled. I'll take chaos over surrender any day. The ship dove again, the clouds parting in spirals of color, storms spinning below them like giant whirlpools inside. Elira felt the ship's energy twist. The bond between her and Jace deepened. She could feel his fear, his courage, his reckless fire that refused to yield. He in turn felt her strength, ancient, royal, burdened by sorrow but fierce as a storm. For a brief moment, they were no longer 2 beings but one force. The ship's systems flared alive, responding to their unity. Weapons reconfigured, shields brightened, and the engines sang like thunder. Let's give them something to remember, Jace said. Grinning, he spun the ship upward through the storm and unleashed a wave of pure energy. A brilliant explosion cut through the clouds, vaporizing 2 of the enemy ships instantly. The rest pulled back, their comms filled with panic. "The Empress wields the core," someone shouted. "She's bonded with the human." Elira smirked. Let them fear it, but even as they won, the ship trembled again, warning lights flashing red. "Damage to the starboard wing," Jace muttered. "We're losing stability." Elira's eyes turned toward the horizon, where the clouds opened to reveal a hidden base floating on the gas giant's surface. "A sanctuary," she said softly. "One of my old command outposts." "Then that's where we're headed," Jace said. Forcing the ship forward, the cruiser fired one last time. The blast grazing their shields, Elira placed her hand on the console, whispering something in her language. The ship shimmered, phasing through the last wave of fire, and then they were gone, vanishing into the mist and lightning. They landed hard on the floating base. The ship's hull steaming from heat and battle damage, Jace exhaled, leaning back. "Remind me never to take another repair job." Elira smiled faintly. "You fought well for a scavenger," he grinned. "And you're not bad for an Empress outside." Thunder rolled endlessly. Elira turned her gaze to the dark clouds below, her eyes distant. "The war has already begun." "Jace Rowan," she said quietly, "and you are now part of it." He looked at her. "Then I guess I'd better learn how to fight like royalty." The ship hummed faintly behind them, the crystal core glowing brighter, as if it understood what was coming. High above, unseen by either of them, the Trader General's fleet spread across the skies. In his command deck, the general watched the storm, eyes filled with hatred. "So the Empress has chosen a human," he whispered. "Then the galaxy will witness her fall," and as the clouds swallowed the horizon, the storm of destiny gathered its full strength. The war above the clouds had only just begun. The storm outside roared like an endless beast. Lightning flashed across the floating base as if the sky itself was alive. Inside the damaged ship, Jace worked with tools scattered around him, sparks flying as he tried to repair the cracked panels. Elira stood nearby, silent, watching him with unreadable eyes. Her armor was scorched. Her silver blood had dried on her sleeve. He could feel her exhaustion through the bond, her heartbeat faint, her strength fading. "You need rest," Jace said without looking up. "I do not rest while hunted," she replied softly. "The bond feeds on our balance. If I sleep while you burn, it weakens," Jace sighed. "You know, for someone who calls herself Empress, you're terrible at taking orders." A faint smile touched her lips. "And for a human, you speak boldly to royalty," he grinned. "Yeah, I've been told that." She turned her gaze toward the window, the storm clouds reflecting in her eyes. "This place," she said quietly, "was once my command base. I trained soldiers here, men and women who swore loyalty to me. Now it is empty." Jace glanced up. "You think any of them survived?" Her voice broke slightly. "No, they turned against me when the council betrayed my bloodline. They believed their Empress was unfit to rule." He paused his work, then said gently, "So they left you to die?" She nodded slowly. "Yes. Even my general, the one you heard in the sky, he was my protector. My most trusted ally. He promised to serve me until his last breath." Jace frowned. "Guess promises don't mean much when power's involved." Her expression darkened. "Power changes hearts, even royal ones." The silence between them grew heavy, filled with unspoken things. Jace finished sealing the last panel. "The ship's stable again, but we need energy." "This base might have old reactors," Elira nodded. "Then we search?" Together, they stepped out into the metallic corridors, the air thick with dust and echoes. Dim lights flickered above them, showing broken walls covered in strange Vion writing. Every step echoed through the hollow station. "This place feels like a tomb," Jace murmured. "It is," she said softly. "A tomb for my empire's honor." They reached the control hall, a massive circular room with shattered windows showing the storm outside. Elira placed her hand on the console, and the room slowly came alive, blue light pulsing through the ancient walls. Holograms flickered, images of soldiers saluting, battle reports, memories of better days. Jace watched her face change as she stared at her past. Her voice trembled. "They believed the council's lies, that I was unfit to lead, that I would destroy what I built." He stepped closer. "Maybe they didn't know the truth." She turned toward him, her eyes shining faintly. "Do you believe I am a monster human?" She turned toward him, her eyes shining faintly. Do you believe I am a monster human? Jace met her gaze. I don't know what you were before, but I know what you've done since I met you. You fought to survive, you saved me when you didn't have to. That doesn't sound like a monster to me. For a long moment she said nothing. Then softly, you speak like one who has lost something. He looked away. Everyone's lost something out here. Elira reached out and placed her hand on his chest. Her touch sent warmth through him, their bond pulsing stronger. In my world, when two spirits share power, they also share truth. She whispered, let me see yours. Before Jace could react, images flooded her mind, his memories. His world, his pain, a dying earth, a ruined colony, the faces of his lost crew, the smell of burning metal. Elira gasped, stepping back. You've seen war too. He nodded quietly. And I swore I'd never fight again, she whispered. Then why help me? He smiled faintly. Because even when I'm done fighting, I can't watch someone else lose everything. The silence was broken by a sudden alarm. Red lights flashing across the room. Elira spun toward the screen. An incoming transmission. A familiar voice filled the hall, cold and proud. Elira of Vion, said the general. I offer you one chance. Return the core and surrender the human, or I will destroy what remains of your people. Her hands clenched, her golden aura flaring bright. Jace stepped beside her. He's bluffing. She shook her head no. He means every word. The hologram shifted, showing a prison colony filled with her people, the last loyal soldiers still alive, chained and broken. The general smiled. You abandoned them, Empress. Now you can save them, if you come to me. Jace looked at her. Don't listen to him. Tears shimmered in her eyes. He has them, Jace, my soldiers, my kin. And he'll kill them the second you surrender, he said firmly. You know that. She closed her eyes, trembling. I can't let them die because of me. Jace placed his hand on her shoulder. Then we fight for them, not with fear, but with purpose. Elira looked up at him, her strength slowly returning. Her voice became steady. Then I will not surrender. Good, Jace said with a grin. Because I just fixed the ship, and I'm dying to test it again. They returned to the vessel, the bond between them glowing like fire as they prepared for launch. Elira turned to him. Jace Rowan, you could walk away. You could leave this war behind, he smiled. I told you before. I don't abandon a job half done. She looked at him for a long time, then whispered, Then I promise, no matter what comes, I will protect you. The engines roared to life, the base shaking as they lifted off into the storm once more. The lightning split the sky like shattered glass, and the ship ascended through the chaos. Behind them, the hollow base crumbled into the clouds, vanishing forever. Ahead, a fleet of warships waited in the light of a dying sun. The Empress and her human co-pilot flew straight toward destiny, bound by blood, choice, and something far greater, hope. And somewhere deep within the ship's glowing core, the crystal pulsed with new energy, whispering in ancient Vion tongue. Two souls, one fate, and the legend has begun. The stars burned brighter than ever, and war filled the sky. Jace and Elira sat inside the glowing cockpit, their hands steady on the controls, their minds linked by fire and will outside. Hundreds of enemy ships formed a wall of silver light, their cannons charged, their engines humming like a storm about to break. This was not a battle anymore. It was destiny. Elira's voice was calm, almost too calm. The general commands the entire Dominion fleet. Jace glanced at her. Then we fight the whole Dominion. She looked at him, her eyes soft but strong. You are a strange creature, human, full of madness and courage. He smiled faintly. I get that a lot. The ship trembled as the first wave of plasma fire rained down. Jace pushed the controls, the vessel spinning through the chaos like a living comet. Elira extended her arm, channeling energy from the bond, golden shields expanding around them. The ship responded as if it were part of their souls, its voice echoing softly. Core synchronization at maximum, together. They moved as one, the Empress guided power, the human guided instinct. Every enemy shot missed by inches, and every counterattack struck true. Explosions tore through the fleet like burning stars. But more ships arrived. Jace's hands burned from the energy flow. We can't take them all, he shouted. Elira turned toward him, her expression fierce. We will, or we will die trying. Then the massive battleship appeared, dark and heavy, its shadow swallowing the light. The traitor general stood inside, his armor black as the void, his voice booming through the comms. Elira, you've cursed our kind by bonding with a human. The throne rejects you. The stars will erase you. She raised her head proudly. You betrayed your oath, General, and now you will face the wrath of the bond you mocked. Jace clenched his fists. Let's finish this, the ship roared forward. Engines blazing like suns, they cut through the enemy line, firing bursts of golden energy that pierced through shields like arrows of light. But the general's ship fired back, a beam so massive it split the sky in half. The shields shattered, alarms screamed, and the control panels exploded with sparks. Jace fell to one knee, smoke filling the cabin. We're hit! Elira tried to stabilize the core, but the damage was too deep. The ship was dying, yet through the pain, she smiled. The bond still lives, we still live. He looked at her, realizing what she meant. No, he whispered. You're not doing this. I must, she said, her eyes glowing brighter. The bond can channel all its power through one life, and that life must be mine. Jace grabbed her hand. Don't you dare. Tears burned down her cheeks. I was born to protect my people, and you, Jace Rowan, are now one of them, the ship's voice whispered. Energy overload imminent. Elira pressed her hand to his chest. The bond symbol flaring gold, he felt her energy flooding into him. Burning and beautiful, Elira, stop, he cried. Her voice echoed in his mind, soft and infinite. You were hired to fix my ship, human, and you fixed my heart. Light filled the cabin, brighter than any sun. Outside, the ship erupted with a storm of energy. The golden explosion tore through the general's fleet, breaking their formation, ripping their ships apart like leaves in the wind. When the light faded, silence ruled the stars. The battlefield floated with the remains of burning metal and drifting fire. The general's ship was gone, consumed by the storm, and from the heart of the explosion, a single vessel emerged, rebuilt, reborn, glowing like a living sun. Jace sat inside, alone, but not truly. He could still feel her presence, faint, gentle, eternal. The bond's mark glowed on his hand. Warm and alive, the ship's voice spoke softly. Elira lives within the core, her will binds with yours. Together you are the eternal co-pilot. He closed his eyes, whispering, You're still here. And her voice, faint as starlight, answered, Always. He looked out at the stars, the vastness of space stretching endlessly ahead. The Empress's empire was gone, but its light remained. Carried by one human bound to her soul, he set a course toward the edge of the galaxy, whispering, If humanity ever finds the stars again, I'll be there to guide them. The ship pulsed once more, golden light flooding the cockpit, and as it vanished into the endless horizon, the legend of the human mechanic and the alien Empress began to spread across the worlds. They called it the Bond of Fire, a story whispered among pilots, soldiers, and dreamers. They said that somewhere out there a glowing ship still roams the dark, guided by a human heart and an Empress's soul, bound forever by destiny, by love, and by the eternal service of their bond.